We're good to go. What's going on, man?
Hey man, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Let me butt up here.
Yeah. You're good. You're good. Well, it's
And my,
great to catch back up, man.
yeah,
So,
uh,
oh, go ahead.
I have a number of things going on,
Yeah.
like we had talked about. And one, first and foremost, I've been, doing a lot of writing these days. I work here in Manhattan or New York City as a composer
Yeah.
mostly, but also I've been doing a lot of writing on my website, and composing new blogs. And so I'm kind of excited about those. And it's not only expressing my thoughts in music, but now I'm kind of branching out and expressing my thoughts in words as well, and which is kind of a new thing for me. But I've been hitting on some very good topics which are pertinent to my life and music and all kinds of things.
Well, yeah. Talk to me a little bit about what made you feel like you wanted to do a blog. What was it that impelled you to dig deeper and to create this new world?
Actually, I work with um, a lot of my colleagues have often mentioned to me, "Oh, you should, we're having conversations about music. I work with so many great people, I talk about, and also, I'm speaking of which, many of the my colleagues and really great people that I work with are my fellow teachers at NYU, where I teach, and we're back in school, and school just started, so it's great to be back around everybody, and we have a lot of great conversations about everything under the sun, from music to our life here in Manhattan, and griping and complaining about everything in New York, and also also talking about the good things. Not everything is bad when you're talking about New York, but
Yeah,
uh,
right.
you know, but and so a lot of times people say, "Oh, well, that's really." We'll have a conversation, and they'll say, "Wow, those are some really great thoughts. Have you ever thought about putting them down on paper?" And although these days it's not really paper, it's your word processing and such. And so, also kind of encouraged by my publicist as well. And she said, "Oh, you should really start putting many of these. Have you ever considered doing a blog on your website, on the composer's website?" So, along with my music now, is I have new blog programs going on constantly, and I have three up there at the moment, and I have a fourth one on the way. In fact, the new one is appropriately as we start the new semester. It's on education, not just about what I teach, which is primarily composition, orchestration, arranging, but about the very kind of substance of teaching and why it's so important and why education is so important in the world, and why it always has been. So that's a new one that's going to be coming out. It's not up there yet. And but working backwards, my recent blog is is a little kind of a update on my last piece that I wrote that you and I talked about, which were the about the basically it's called the Requiem for the Lost, which is my piece about the uh, attempt to bring the dire wolf back into existence
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
So this blog explores that thought a little bit further and says, well, why do we stop at the dire wolf? I mean, if it continue, if that genetic engineering and so on and cloning becomes more um, common and actually starts succeeding, as technology probably will um, continue to get better. As says, well, what's the next thing? Starting to clone humans or even famous people. And so this blog is it's entitled "Box Back." All right. And it's the idea of basically it's a kind of fantasy about bringing back famous composers.
Yeah.
It's like and explore like what if we brought back Bach? Would he be the genius Bach? With everything, and would he continue to follow that route, or would he be distracted by all the various things about living, and would he just be a normal guy, or or would he find everything distracting, or would we have that genius? And also, it's kind of like, and do we need that, or do we need to have that? So it's an interesting blog about exploring that and talks about Bach, not only Bach, but you can imagine all the great composers that you'd want to like bring back. Hey, even just to interview,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. That would
like
be awesome.
you know, uh,
Yeah.
and then the two earlier ones I have a little bit more subjective. They're kind of about me and how I came into music, and especially basically how I came into being a composer. It's like out of all the positions and things that one can do in music, primarily and the ones that most people in the world relate to, it's being a performer. And behind the scenes, you have composers, you have arrangers, you have orchestrators, and it's like, these writings sort of explore why somebody chooses that life. You know, I've known so many great composers and so many great arrangers and orchestrators and all kinds of people who work behind the scenes. And many of them, especially in the jazz field, are performers themselves. I noticed that you had one of your interviews recently was on this new Bob Brookmeyer tribute
Yeah.
to. And well, Bob was one of my mentors as well here in the city, and I was involved a lot with the BMI Composers Workshop at the early stages. And Bob and Manny Album were the two guys who, along with other people, but along with myself, really inspired me to to explore being a composer even deeper. So, in fact, many of these things that I talk about here on these blogs are about that, you know. And I know Bob was from Kansas City, so he must be a pretty big figure in your neck of the woods there, I would imagine.
He is. He's not one that gets brought up a lot. Is you're
Mm,
like, it's not like people are like, oh yeah, Bob from Kansas City. It's more of, hey, Pat Metheny and Charlie Parker and those kinds of names are synonymous with Kansas City.
right,
But
exactly.
it's almost like people are surprised, like, wait, Bob Brookmeyer was from Kansas City? And then, talking to Mike, which was that interview, he brought him back and he was always very welcome to come back. But it was kind of like Bird. Once he was gone and he was in New York and he was away for a while, it was a little bit nostalgic to come back for very brief forays.
Yeah, and he became such an international figure. He went over to Europe and lived there for a while. That was great. But he inspired me greatly. And in my blogs on my website, actually, I talk about sort of even going before that and what made me choose to become a composer. A lot of people will ask that question, how did you get into composition? And the answer is I didn't. It chose me
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And so my first blog is actually it's in two parts. It's called "The Unseen Hand: How Underdogs, Depression, and Creativity Shape a Life."
Yeah.
So really, I mean, you've heard this before. People talk about composition or artistic endeavors as being a calling. Well, that's very true. I fell into composition. I was never, approached by anybody and said, "Oh, can you write something for me and do this?" It just kind of said, I just felt the need to write, and I'm just like when I was a teenager. And then I just continued to write, and in fact, in this blog, I sort of compare it to, you've heard the term before. is required to when you're a sports fan. I'm a big Mets fan here in New York, sadly, but it's you've heard the old term, you don't pick your teams, they pick you,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with composing, and it's the same with writing. It's like this calling. You often, in my case, I just fell into it, and I started writing, and I said, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do." And you accept it. It comes with being a composer comes with all kinds of things, not just the good stuff, which is writing your own music and feeling good and having your ideas expressed, but comes with a lot of digging deep inside yourself and thinking about self-expression. And along with that, there's not only you have your good thoughts, but you have your bad thoughts as well, and a lot of that comes up. So years of being a composer is dealing with all kinds of things, and Bob actually was somebody we used to have conversations about that, about experiencing not just the good stuff but the uh inner turmoil, things like that that come with being, you've heard the terms about what is it, the deep, dark composer who you know uh, lives for their art and so on and so. Well, a lot of that is true,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, self-imposed or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about this blog is it's a level of creativity like composing. You're putting together these thoughts and feelings that are going to move people, but it almost seems like this has been a calling too. Like you said, like, you didn't choose the Mets chose you. You didn't choose composing, composing chose you. Do you feel like blogging kind of you were urged, but do you feel like it chose you?
Exactly. I will be, it's interesting that when I was uh, said, "Oh, can you want to go into blogging?" And I said, "Oh, I'm really a composer. I'm really good with notes and slurs and dynamics and articulations, but not so good with words." And I said, "Well, here's the subject, and I said, "Okay, let me try it." And I went right, I opened up my, word process and I started to write. And it was the same process as composing music. I could not stop. I had to like virtually stop myself from writing. I said, "Oh my God, this is it." So, um, you're right. It chooses you. And I think a lot of artistic endeavors happen that way, whether it's performing or composing or and in all the arts, not just in music, but in dancing, architecture, uh, what am I leaving? Painting, sculpture, everything like that. It's the same thing. Why does a painter choose to paint or create a sculpture?
Right.
One speaks to them louder than the other. You know.
So you also have new music out. You had sent over a note, Dear Elvin J and
Yeah.
Murray Avenue. Talk to me about these recordings.
So I've been so a couple of years ago. The first one is this album. Neither of these albums are out yet. They're still works in progress.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the first one is a couple of years ago. In fact, one of my colleagues at NYU is the percussionist Tony Moreno,
Yeah.
who has been there for a while, and he was the really interesting story. He was 11 years old and he went for drum lessons with this guy named Elvin Jones. And he started taking drum lessons with Elvin Jones. And after that, he became like a friend of Elvin and colleagues. And, he was all the way up till the end. He was associated with him, even played percussion on one of Elvin's albums. And so Tony commissioned me to arrange an album for him of largely of music, some of it written by Elvin Jones, some of it written by his performers like Dave Liebman and Gene Perla. Frank Foster's in there, and we did about 10 pieces for this for his band. And we finally got around to recording it this past summer. And it's called Dear Elvin J. And so it's we just recorded it. It's still in the can, but it's going to be coming out soon. So hopefully we'll have a release date soon. And go ahead. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, no, you're cool. No, I was just wondering about the other one too. Yeah.
And the other one is with Steve Johns. Steve Johns is a drummer who I've also worked with for many years here in New York. He's played in my band. He's powered my big band in the rhythm section, as well as just in various small groups that we've done. And last year I wrote a piece for his album, which was released called Mythology. And I wrote an arrangement of Compared to What, the old, hip uh, Les McCann tune. And his newest album called Murray Avenue is going to be coming out on Steeplechase, and that is just, I think, about to get recorded. And I wrote the title track to that album, Murray Avenue, which is a really good band of New York City musicians here.
So I would be remiss if I did not mention the Mets, which is front and center in both your blog posts. And Kansas City's in the same position. We just
Right.
kind of went all year long thinking everything. I think New York is a different place because there was just a different architecture to this team. Like when
Oh
Soto
yeah.
came in, it was just like a foregone conclusion. And you guys were up and things, but we're in that place with you guys. We got 6 games to go, and if we do good, you basically got to win most all of them. It could happen. So I'll be really curious because we're all in the same
Yeah.
boat.
Well, today I woke up, all Mets fans woke up this morning tied with the Reds
Yes.
with 6 games left. And of course the Reds won the series against us. So if it still ends up a tie, they go and we go home and play golf for the rest of the season.
And,
And
and somebody's going to come up with an AI interpretation if that happens of the turkey toss on WKRP, and it's going to just be launching turkeys into City Field. Something's going to happen.
Yeah,
But
well, New York is such a baseball town.
yeah,
It just like, I mean, yes, there are other sports here. In fact, we have the Giants and the Jets and the Knicks and stuff. But baseball, it's just, with the Yankees and the Mets, just rule the day. And the Mets are a really interesting team because basically, as you know, they are the replacements for the Giants and the Dodgers,
yeah.
who both left New York. So basically, the Mets are a team born out of anger, more or less.
It's the
You know,
stepchild. It's
right?
really, really, it,
It's
it,
yeah.
it's
And
wild.
I talk about that in my blog about how that, is even though it was like, the Mets chose you. And so, and in fact, that one of the things that attracted me to about them when I first moved to New York in 1985 was that they were the perennial underdogs. Although in 85, in fact, as you know, they were one year away from becoming world champions.
Yeah.
But in 85, they were just getting better. But a whole history before that and I think that, when as a composer, I can tell you that there's this feeling of sort of being the underdog. It's like being a composer. One other thing about being a composer, being a musician in general, or even just being an artist, very humbling experience.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you might meet artists and things with egos and this and that, but deep inside, I think everybody who's really in touch with that part of themselves is humbled by the whole process. Because as when you're a writer, when you're a composer, or when you're involved in the creative process, whatever, and you really get in touch with it, you realize that every uh, every possible solution to in my case, to my music, is available to me.
Yeah.
Every possible solution in the universe, it's all there, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. And the more tools you have, in fact, this semester at NYU, I'm teaching my composition classes based on the string section. So I'm teaching a lot of things about the violins and cellos and violas and such. And those are, and it's really fun. The students really love it. But you're basically talking about giving them the tools, meaning techniques for those instruments that enable them to open those doors inside their minds. And it's once you start opening up those doors to the creative process, man, you're in it for good.
Yeah.
It sucks you right in. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Just like our baseball teams,
That's it.
they tell you like, "Oh, look here, look, we won this game and we totally clobbered the other team, and it's really great. And we're going to do the same thing." And you're going, "Oh, great, they're good. We're going all the way."
Yep.
And
But it's pure heart. Like when you compose, it comes straight from your soul. It's full of heart. And
yeah,
I feel like that with like the Mets, because I was an 86 disciple. That team just emanated with soul. And so did the
yeah.
69 Mets that were the miracle team that no one thought was going to do
Oh,
anything. Even
absolutely.
last year's team. I remember listening to those two games with the Braves and how they won. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I came home vibrating in a way that I hadn't for the Mets for almost 25 years and told my wife,
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like this. And then they marched right through the playoffs, and you thought they were going to be indomitable, like they were going to make it.
It had that feeling of the sixth game of the 86 series
Yes.
where after
Yes.
that after that you just said, oh, that's it. We're going to win tomorrow. There's no
100%.
and we did.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
By the way, I just have to mention to you right now, I was at game one
Were you really?
in 86. We lost. We lost the opening game,
But
but it was fantastic.
that the energy of every time I watch Shea, Vin's up in the box talking, doing the game. There was just this like level, especially with Boston, because anytime you get kind of the rivalry up there, it
Yeah.
just was intense.
It was rocking.
Yeah,
You
that's
The one thing I
beautiful.
remember, it was freezing cold. It was really cold out at
Yes.
Shea, and I was wearing like three layers or something. It was amazing. But everybody was going nuts. Uh, One of my favorite moments was before the game. Our then Mayor Ed Koch was walking around the stadium doing a promo thing, and he was waving to everybody in the stands as he walked about. And everybody in the stands knew that Ed Koch was a devoted Yankees fan. So we were all, you know,
Oh no.
everybody was booing him kind of, not really seriously. It was all kind of good, but everybody knew that he was a Yankees fan. So he was
Yeah.
there on his own promo to his personal promo tour, but
Yeah.
it was fun. What a great series. Yeah, and I had that same feeling last year. It was like mind
No,
blowing.
I know. It would have been amazing to see Game 7 with that guy parachuting in, you know. And I remember when he
Yeah.
landed and they took him in the dugout, the players couldn't stop laughing. They were all
Yeah.
like, "How the hell did a guy in New York find a way to duck under the radar and land on that field? We'll never know."
Well, the last thing that happens is as the police are heading him out down into the walkway is that Ron Darling gives him a high
That's
five.
it. I remember.
And and every time they show that clip a lot on the local games here, and Ron's out and he goes, "Oh, and here I am," like doing the high
The
five.
high five. That's wonderful.
But and yeah, I mean that, and it's like, in fact, I mean, being an avid sports fan is like it's very much like being an avid composer. I mean,
Yeah.
you deal with the ups and you deal with the downs, and and you you somehow go like, I mean, I find myself going, that's it. I'm never watching another Mets game in my life. And then the next night the game comes on and I'm there. I'm totally into the game. And it's the same thing. I'll write a piece that will just take every creative, thing out of you, and you go, oh, that's it. I can't do another piece like that. And then you wake up the next day and you go, oh, you go like, oh, wait a minute, I have, oh, that those three chords. I know what to do with them, and then you're off on
That's
your
it.
next piece, you know.
Yep. That's it. That's the
And
serendipity of it. Yeah.
yeah, or I live up here at the top of Manhattan, and I have a really great view of. I'm looking at my apartment. I have a great view of the Hudson River and the Hudson River Bridge, and it's where the Harlem River and the Hudson River meet, and it's idyllic scene. I could just look out there and it's go, oh, I think I'm going to write a piece about the where the Hudson and the East River meet,
Yeah.
the Harlem River meet.
Yeah.
And I do. You can. I actually started that piece, and it's called "The Confluence" for full orchestra and things like that. So, and you sort of have to do it once it calls to you, and it says, "Oh, here, I hear some chords. Oh, here's a nice melody you can do," and stuff like that. And in fact, um, I sort of um, speaking of Bob again, Bob was a seminal kind of influence on sort of the second half of my compositional career. Before that, I was kind of an autodidactic composer who wrote by the seat of his pants and did this. And I'm trying to see, my camera went blurry all of a
Oh,
sudden.
yeah.
Uh, Oftentimes I get in, oh, what the heck?
It wants to come back.
Uh,
Huh. I thought
no.
it might have been a blip, an internet blip, but maybe it'll come back.
Oftentimes, I put my hand up there, it refocuses.
There it
Oh,
goes. It
oh,
wants to.
it almost did.
Almost looks like you're
All
doing a
right.
Jedi mind trick.
Oh my God. Sorry. I don't know what that's all about. Uh, hmm.
It may
Uh,
even itself out.
yeah. At any rate, you know, and like I said, Bob was very influential on me in giving me more tools actually to write and hit me all kinds of like different compositional kind of mindsets and being like, oh yes, you. One of the great things that he told me about was to uh, when you write something, never talk about more than one idea in a piece.
Yeah.
And he says, and then tell me everything you know about it.
Yeah.
And and it was just some terrific stuff. And it was like, and that really kind of changed the way that would think about composition and like how I am today
Yeah. Yeah.
more.
Yeah. That wisdom sticks around.
Ooh,
So there we
sorry.
go.
Oh,
Now
there we go.
we're
Hey,
perfect. Look at that. We're
okay.
crystal clear.
You can cut
So
that part out.
yeah. So let me ask you this. So it's pretty easy for people to find your blog. It's on your website. It's right front and
Sure.
center. So,
richshemaria.com.
and then the new recordings, if anybody wants to find out, is social media the best way to get a heads up if when those come out?
Yes, all Steve Johns will who posts all the time. It'll be on his website and probably Tony Moreno, and I'll be promoting these new things myself as well. Also, I'll mention one more thing. We have my group Combo Nouveau, which we have our own website, Combo NUVO, Combo Nouveau uh, which is myself and my music collaborator Dave Schroeder, along with some really good Manhattan musicians, Brad Shepik on guitar. Um, uh, Lenny Pickett has been playing with us in the past, the director from Saturday Night Live. Um, we have so a bunch of new videos. Our newest group it also features a 10-piece string orchestra with our regular group. So we have new videos up on our website of that, which we're very excited about because we're promoting that group as well and
Excellent.
doing
Well,
more orchestral endeavors.
absolutely. Well, we'll
Yeah.
keep our eyes out for the music, and Kansas City and New York's going to be in the same boat. It's going to be an interesting 6 days. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. And
I all my best to the Royals, and
same to the Mets. I still will always have a spot in my heart, as we've talked about with Doc Gooden, hopefully getting back on the ballot. I just New York is always right there. So it's
oh, great and
yeah,
terrific. I
it's
will
good.
mention one more thing. Obviously, the current Kansas City New York connection happened last night here at Giant Stadium,
Yeah.
as we gave you guys the first win.
Well,
Congratulations! Congratulations!
well, thank you. It could have gone either way, but the amount of boos for Russell Wilson was like, wow. I mean, you don't usually
Yeah.
hear that on TV, but I could just feel the New Yorkers just like there was just people that were just like this, like for the whole fourth quarter, just like, what are we doing?
Well, punctuating that is the success of Daniel Jones with the Colts.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
It was 3-0.
I know. It's wild. But that
Yeah.
kid you got looks like he's going to be
Jackson Garvin. Yeah.
real deal, man. So,
That's the other team that chose me, the Giants,
yeah, right.
which
That's,
is another thing. So,
yeah.
hey, man, well, listen, best of luck to both of us.
Yeah,
Hey, jazz
absolutely.
fans, Joe Domino of Neon Jazz here. Proud to let you know about the triumphant return of the Kansas City Blues and Jazz Festival to Legends Field at the home of the KC Monarchs with a stellar lineup. Grammy-winning Stanley Clarke, Carl Denson's Tiny Universe, jazz master Bill Frisell, and KC luminaries Jackie Myers and Brody Buster. Tickets and more for this electrifying two-day event is found at monarchsbaseball.com, then click on special events. This October 3rd and 4th, join us as we bring magic and music back to Kansas City.